Welcome to the channel, everybody. Today's video, we're going head to head. These companies are claiming that they've got drivers this year that go even further than last year. Well, in today's video, we're looking at Callaway's Paradigm Ai Smoke Triple Diamond. I'm going to put it up against the new Callaway Elite Triple Diamond. Callaway saying that they're going to give us 8 more yards out of this driver than certainly previous generations. So I thought today we could get some numbers from them, but we're going to bring them up here to Churston's practice ground, give 3 shots with each driver and see which one is getting out there the furthest. Let's get into it. Now, the first thing to note when it comes to these 2 drivers that we're testing here today is they're both 9-degree heads, and I've got the 14-gram weight pushed to the back of both of these heads, and then I've got the 2-gram weight pushed forward on both of these heads. So that's giving me maximum MOI with these particular heads, allowing me to launch that ball just a little bit higher with that weight back, allowing me to get more stability with that head. If I twisted those round and pushed that weight a little bit further forward, then I would get maximum distance, lower spin, lower launch, and basically bombers. But for me personally, I haven't got the swing speed to be able to cope with that setup. So we're gonna go with weight back in both of these drivers. Now, when it comes to the practice ground, we're gonna hit 3 shots with each club, and the shaft on these, both of them gonna be using the Tensai 1K black shaft in a 65-gram S flex. Just again to make this as consistent as we possibly can with both of these drivers. Now, Paradigm Ai Smoke was a very popular driver, certainly from my players on the channel. We had Chris Gill using it all of last year and absolutely loved this driver, giving him maximum distance. So let's give it a whirl and see how we get on. Pretty good flight off the first one, a little bit down the left-hand side, but not bad. Probably strike-wise a little bit in the toe. And you can see that ball possibly wanting to sort of dip out of the air a little bit as it kind of got going, which tells me that I've just got a little bit less spin. Anything that kind of goes a little bit high on the face and a little bit into the toe, I tend to get a little bit lower spin. If I get it a little bit lower and more in the center, I can rev that ball up and hopefully keep me on a bit more of the straight and narrow. And if I'm honest, when it comes to testing all the drivers that I've hit, certainly this year in comparison to previous generations, I'm definitely feeling like maybe we're starting to get somewhere with these AI faces. And certainly when it came to the Ai Smoke driver by Callaway, we were certainly focusing on an AI face there, artificial intelligence, and kind of Callaway have really led the way when it comes to AI as far as I'm concerned, really certainly bringing it to the market a lot quicker than most. Let's go again. Oh, that was ripped a little bit down the right hand side this time. And this is the problem with these drivers, if I'm honest with you, for me personally anyway, is that the S they get out there really quite hot. However, I just see big dispersions with them on the golf course, and that's generally because of the spin. The spin is a lot lower out of these heads, and again, this is why you need a lot of speed to generate more spin. But with that spin being a lot lower for someone like me, if I get it just slightly offline, it really starts to sort of move when we're in the air. And from a looks point of view, the Paradigm Ai Smoke was really quite popular. We got that carbon look on top with that soft rail that runs along the edge of that driver. The only thing you don't have, which is a little bit different to, let's say, the other options that are available in this particular range, is you don't have the chevron on top for helping alignment, which I actually really quite like in the other options. However, when it comes to the other options, they all look the same. They're part of a family, which is going to be slightly different to what we're seeing when we go into the Elite. Last swing, and just a note, I am using Pro V1X balls for this testing, and it's using Pro V1 in the studio as well for the numbers. Let's see if we can rip one to finish. Oh yeah, nice. Again, just up the left-hand side, trying to cut back. That'll be interesting to see how that compares to when we start hitting the Elite. But you can see there from the dispersion, the shot traces that I'm seeing a little bit right, a little bit left, and then one that's kind of probably hit the left side of the fairway. But let's get the Elite out now and see how that performs. Now, I've got to say, when I tested the Elite Triple Diamond, I was really quite impressed with this particular driver, as in visually, I think it looks absolutely stunning. I know that the Paradigm Ai Smoke was a popular one, but I think this is just absolutely, well, it's class in my eye. And the reason why I say it's class is because there's just nothing going on with it. It's just really quite a simple looking driver, that gloss finish. Anyway, let's get this underway with this testing. And the sound is just a little bit different. It's a duller, more thuddy sound. Really good hit there, very similar in its flight, maybe just launching a fraction higher than what I saw out of that Ai Smoke, but the sound, that's the big difference in that first swing. But the thing that shocked me the most when it came to this Elite range was just how different this particular model was compared to the other models in this lineup. I don't really understand it, if I'm honest with you. Even though I'm not against the look of any of them, I just think if you're going to create a family of drivers, then possibly stick with it. Now, having said that, the reason why I probably love the look of this one the most is because I used to use an old Callaway driver, and I think it was called an FT Tour. We've still got the look of what we got out of the Ai Smoke from the crown of this driver, not going with that carbon, but going more that black gloss. And then we've got the black gloss sort of rail that runs along the top as well. Again, no chevron on the top for alignment, which we're probably getting feedback from tour players saying they don't want that, and they want less is more maybe. They don't need the alignment kind of aid. But the first thing I kind of saw with it is, why would you move away from something that's a family to then make it kind of stand out on its own? And then there's the face, the AI face. We're going from a smart AI face in that Ai Smoke compared to now a 10 times AI face. And that 10 times meaning it's going to give us, well, more consistency across the whole of the face. And I said it maybe just a little bit earlier, but that's the thing that I've seen in maybe the 2025 release with a lot of drivers out there, is we're starting to see that consistency with all strikes across the face, which I actually think is going to be, well, really important for majority of golfers out there. Again, different sound, just a lot higher off the face. Little slider from left to right, which I don't think is the most powerful drive that I'm going to hit today, and I've only got one shot left. But again, I love the sound of that off the face. A duller, less tin kind of approach to that one, which for me personally is a bit of a win over the Ai Smoke. However, last hit with it, let's see if we can rattle it down there and get it that 8 yards further that Callaway say I should be getting. Oh, a little toey. It's down the middle, but I'm not sure that's going to give me the most ball speed, but it could give me the maximum distance, that 8 yards that we're looking for. Let's take a closer look, shall we? You know, isn't it funny, like I get in the studio and I hit balls in the studio, which I do lots of testing in there, and I can get comfortable enough where I'm hitting balls with that little bit of draw to maximize that distance. However, you bring me out to the golf course, practice ground, and I start hitting little fades, and it's because of the emotional side of trying to hit target. However, I've got a little gathering over here. I've got one a little bit further up to the left and one a little bit further down to the right, but 3 of these balls that are in shot right now are from the same driver, which is a Titleist 2, a Titleist 2, and a Titleist 2. However, there's a Titleist 1 up there, which could be the longest. There's a further Titleist 1 a little bit further up to the left-hand side, and then further down to the right-hand side is the other Titleist 1. So with that in mind, I can literally throw a blanket over the 3 drives that I've hit with that Elite triple diamond driver, which if you think about what Callaway is saying, let's take the 8 yards further thing out of it. This is what Callaway is saying, is that their new face, their new AI face, which is smarter than the previous generations, is going to bring in that dispersion. And I have to say that what I've seen with the testing in 2025 in comparison to 2024 is that I feel like I'm seeing that. I feel like the AI faces are starting to get smarter. And that's because we are hitting more balls and giving these companies more numbers to play with. The 2 longest drives up at this practice ground here today are the Ai Smoke driver. The one up to the left and the one to the right. And you could argue that possibly the one up to the left is a little bit low spin, and when it lands, it's going to run out a little bit more. And you could argue that because of the slope of this practice ground here today, that the one down the right-hand side has caught the ground and just chased on down there. But I'm actually, well, I'm more impressed with the fact that this triple diamond Elite is throwing a blanket over them. And if I share with you the numbers that I've got from the studio, Ball speed wise, Elite giving me an average of 152.2 mile an hour compared to 151.4 mile an hour. Not really seeing a great deal of difference in that. Certainly, what, less than 1 mile an hour difference there. Now, I said that Elite was launching just a fraction higher up here. I'm seeing that in the studio. I know it's not a lot, but I'm going from 14 degrees of launch compared to 13.3 degrees of launch. The spin, pretty much the same at 2.3 with the Elite compared to 2.2 with the AI Smoke. However, I would say that the numbers that I'm seeing here is that we're seeing maybe a tighter dispersion of numbers when it comes to the Elite compared to the AI Smoke, which I would say Callaway is telling us that. Launching or peaking out, height-wise, getting 37 yards compared to 34 yards, I'm seeing that up here. And then yardage, unfortunately, I'm not seeing 8 yards difference. I'm seeing an average of 258 carry with the Elite compared to an average of 258 carry with that AI Smoke. You could argue that shot here up at the top there with the AI Smoke is possibly just a bit of a weaker one, which brings that number up a fraction, but that's literally shot for shot. I've got to say, the impressive bit with this is not the fact that there's a big difference in yardage difference and we're not seeing that 8-yard gain, but what I am seeing is definitely a consistency off the face with these drivers, the new drivers in 2025. Now, I hope you've enjoyed that video and it's given you a better understanding of how these drivers are actually performing. I've really enjoyed hitting them and putting them to the test. So I just want to say thank you to Callaway for allowing me to keep hold of them, to test them even further. Now, these drivers are very much designed for those players that want to reduce spin or players that hit the ball really quite hard. For me personally, I'm averaging around 106 mile an hour of swing speed when I'm testing these drivers in the studio, probably a little bit less when I'm out on the golf course with them, but the numbers that I'm getting from them are really quite evident that we're not actually getting a great deal of difference in yardage, but what I am most impressed about, as I've said throughout this video, is just how consistent we're starting to see this AI technology really kicking in on the face of these drivers. But I'd like to hear down in the comments, are you using either of these drivers? Have you found a deal when it comes to the AI Smoke and you really want to take it up on that? But down there in the comments, which of these drivers would you prefer to have in the bag? If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and I'll see you again on the next video.